Hi, my name is Susie. These are my friends. I wanted to thank everyone for joining me tonight.
Aloha.
Okay? So, my topic tonight, basically a lot of my friends have been getting married, a lot of them are getting engaged, a lot of them are having babies, a lot of them are pregnant. And I'm 24 years old, and I've been thinking about boyfriends, relationships, and what I really expect out of myself and what I feel about marriage and, everything associated with it. I had a discussion with one of my friends named Buckeye, who actually decided to interview for this speech, and I found out his parents have been divorced since he was a young kid, and mine have been married 30 years. And divorce is something I knew nothing about. It's really foreign to me because I didn't grow up with it. I didn't experience it. And he told me some heartbreaking stories, some really troubling experiences. And it kind of prompted me to look into divorce and the ramification it has on children's health. So today, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the reaction kids have to divorce and potential long-term effects associated with the process. So, divorce is stressful for kids regardless of their age. Most children are not at all prepared to deal with it. There's a study in 1980 showed less than 10% of kids have someone to turn to. They have no adult support during this crisis, and they feel really hurt emotionally and really confused psychologically. So there's about 3 main categories that define the type of stress that kids go through. They feel vulnerable, kids feel grief, and kids feel anger. They feel vulnerability because the family's dissolving, they feel like they have no one to turn to, they're all alone, like where's mommy and daddy, like what do I do? They feel grief, some kids feel that that might be their fault, they feel like they did something wrong, they even try to figure out how to get mom and dad back together. I think maybe if I did my chores, mom and dad wouldn't have split, or maybe if I ate all my peas, they wouldn't have left. They feel grief, like I just said. They don't know, some of them don't even know their parents having problems, there's no lead up, catches them completely off guard, and they just wonder why. And the third kind of feeling they go through after this is like intense anger and powerlessness. Why did you hit mommy? Why did you have to cheat on daddy? So they're angry and there's nothing they can do to change it, and they're starting to almost realize that. It's different than a death in the family, what brings families closer together. Divorce, it dissolves the family unit, and the child's kind of left in this rubble of family mayhem. And more specifically, kids go through different phases as their ages, as they get older, as they're younger, whatever age it is, there's a different kind of feel for what the kid goes through. Ages 3 to 5, they're in a learning stage, an extreme learning stage, where they're a sponge and they're learning all this, and they almost regress in their developmental stage. It's so shocking, they almost just go back in their learning. They have sleep disturbances, they fear separation from the person they're awarded custody to. Daddy left, where did he go? Maybe mommy's gonna go too. They want to cling on to someone because they don't want to be left alone again. And there's usually a great deal of yearning for the non-custodial parent, the one they're not living with. For example, my friend Buckeye, his parents got divorced when he was 3, and he stressed to me this lifelong yearning to impress his dad and to be with his dad and to get his approval. And he even got abused about 3 times. One point where he had hand marks all the way up to his legs, and he eventually wasn't able to see his dad for 4 years. CPA, Child Protective Services, came in, and he wasn't allowed to see him, but as soon as it was over, he decided he wanted to live with his dad. He ran away to live with his dad. So he just craved that male structure in his family. And ages 6 through 8, these children usually grieve for the departed parent. They have fantasies that the parents will have to reunite. One day it'll happen. They don't realize it's kind of permanent. They also think it's temporary. They think, oh, daddy will be right back. He's on vacation. And pretty much the age 8 to 11, they start to feel angry. They start to kind of realize what's going on here, and they start to label a good parent versus a bad parent. They almost start to take sides, and they're kind of at this stage of finding fault and placing blame. And when you come to be a teenager, age 12 through 18, the teens respond to their parents' divorce with a little bit of depression, sometimes suicidal tendencies. Sometimes they act out violently, sometimes they steal motorcycles from people, like Buckeye did. I don't know why, but him and his friends, they decided to vandalize stuff. They just got all kinds of trouble. The good thing about this age group, they start to show a little bit of compassion towards their parents, but they also become more anxious and fearful about their own future love and marital status. They don't They don't want it to happen to them. They don't want anyone to go through what they're going through. Then we start to talk about, okay, well, what happens with the child and their parent? Is everything okay? The kid's left with one parent now. So the parents get divorced, the kids get stressed out, they feel angry, they act up in class. This is a typical child. They get in fights with kids, the teacher punishes him and sends him home for bad behavior. So the mom understands the divorce is hard on the kid and doesn't punish the kid as much. The kid gets away with murder. Mom's kind of a pushover. She doesn't want to get mad at him because she realizes that, it's because of the divorce. So you have this, he can do whatever he wants and you don't have a whole lot of strict. And this kind of like sets up for the future for bad behavior. That's just one of the effects of divorce on kids and their mom's relationship. Happened to Buckeye. He had a lot of problems with authority figures, talked out in class. He had a lot of issues with his dad. Him and his dad got fist fights. His mom was a pushover. She felt really bad. She would see her son crying a lot or bruised. She didn't even want to punish him for stuff. She just, she smothered with love. Then you think, okay, the lack of a father, is that a good excuse for bad behavior? Because the dad's usually the authority figure. Is that why the kid's acting up? Because he doesn't have a dad to tell him what's up? But several studies has shown that increased father contact in a divorced child life does not correlate to any sort of positive outcome. So some moms, they think, okay, I want to supplement my male role model in my kid's life, so they get a thing called a big brother, and that's like a pseudo male role model, and usually comes from like the boys and girls clubs, and it's almost like a babysitter. They play ball with the kids, they take them to movies, they take them to the park, they hang out with them, sometimes once a week, sometimes twice a month. And Bucket had that. He had it a couple of times a week. And one day, it's not a cure-all, one day he's in the car, he just got picked up by his dad, and he mentioned the big brother, and his dad got so mad, he kicked him out of the car, and told him, why don't you go hang out with your older big brother, and left a 10-year-old on the side of the road to walk home, at least 2 mile walk. And who does that, That's a true story. He cried his whole way home, okay? So then you think, okay, this kid goes through all this, what are the long-term effects? Like this, it's not like something that happens overnight, it's not something that cures itself. A lot of the huge long-term effects that happen into your adult life are anxiety and fear that this kid's going to repeat this in their marriage or in their love relationship. And they have a huge fear of commitment. Up to 66% of the women who age 19 to 23, which happens to be the drinking age, were interviewed during 10 years post-divorce. They had anxiety, fear, guilt, anger, and they just suppressed it for years and years. And it resurfaced when the kids were attempting to make major life decisions such as marriage. For instance, my interview, Buckeye, he deep in his soul wants to find that special person to get married to, his soulmate, okay? But everyone in his entire extended family has been divorced. So everyone, all of his loved ones have been divorced. So there's a big, marriage doesn't work, He's afraid to get married, he fears divorce. What kind of attitude is that? It's horrible. And so basically, I kind of just wanted to bring a lot of attention to you, you never know who has gone through what when you're growing up, but, Americans these days, they just decide, sometimes you just think, oh, let's get divorced, married. Let's get married, it'll make it better, everything will work out when we get married, and you don't have this feeling of lifelong commitments, and then you bring a child into life, and if you're having issues with any of your relationships, then you have someone else that's going to be directly affected. And I just really want to make sure you guys are aware of the kind of consequences that happen from divorce.